live. Somehow that one's not right. We should use that to check the frame if it ever does come up.
Okay.
And if it don't, we just wing it.
You can ask and they see us.
What's going on Facebook Live, family?
You got the microphone?
Not yet. All right. Good evening and welcome to the True Love Movement Hour. It's your host, Brother Shaq.
And Mama Fiyah.
And we would like to welcome everyone here this lovely December 1st, the first day of December 2018. That means there's just about 30 days left in this year.
Wow.
2018 is on the way out, Mama Fiyah. But this is a special day, and I want to wish you a happy birthday, Mama
Yes,
Fiyah.
that's right. Gave birth today, so it's actually my birthday.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? We get it confused. It's not right and exact when we say happy birthday. It's,
Right.
it's your mama's happy birthday.
That's right.
And so I gave birth to a brilliant, bright, shining son 23 years ago.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Right on.
So it's been beautiful to watch him grow and develop as an artist and as a man.
That's right.
I don't know many 23-year-olds that are out on their own.
Right.
Who has finished college and has a professional career. So,
That's right.
Beautiful thing. A beautiful thing.
Proud of that, brother. Shout out to Xavier.
Shout out to Xavier on his born day.
That's right. 23 or 23, like his mama say.
23. Let's go. We all navigating to free.
That's right.
Shout out to Mama Radnika and Princess Iyame as
Yes.
well. And shout out to all my sisters that are watching Facebook Live. I know y'all out there. We can't really see you right this minute, but we love you and we know that you're watching, which
Right
is
on.
good.
We getting it together now, family. We thank you
Yes.
for joining us. There's so many places you could be, so many things happening in New Orleans, and we're honored that you've chosen to ride with us for this hour as you have for the last 5 years, Mama Fiyah.
Yeah, 5 years is a beautiful number. Even 23 is the number 5.
That's right.
So, 5 got a good energy to it.
5 like a mighty fist, like you always say, Mama Fiyah.
Yes.
And there's so many ways to connect. Shout out to our Facebook Live family. Simply like the True Love Movement page on Facebook, and you can see us live here in the studio. We're going to try to see you too. And if we can't see you right now, we'll see you soon. And the comment section doesn't die. But, of course, you can connect on WBOK1230M.com, the WBOK1230M app, which is available on Google Play and in the App Store, as well as the old-fashioned way 1230 on your AM dial, family. So, we give thanks a lot happening today. Shout out to Baba Wayne Glapion. And
that was a very nice event.
Very nice event, WNOZ. Shout out to them and the brother there. They put on the toy drive today, which was really jazz for kids. They titled it over there at Cafe Istanbul, WBOK's own Chuck Perkins spot, Cafe Istanbul today.
Very nice. Very nicely done. Shout out to the Israel Family Band.
The Israel Family Band, huh?
Israel Family
Used
Band.
to be a trio, but now
it's
a whole family band.
Shout out to my sister, Mama Tamar, Israel.
Singing.
Like, I have never performed with her before, but she added so much depth. Her beautiful alto voice helped a lot. And, I think the more we do it, the better. Like,
It's
the more we
inevitable.
do it, we can come together and maybe some harmony or something. I'm no singer. I'm a spoken word artist. I'm a poet. I'm a rapper. But I dabble with
Spoken
it
word.
like most hip hop people sing their own hooks sometimes
Right.
and do all those things. So, but I think her voice with mine, we get it solid. Let's do it. Mama Tamar's got such a great energy all the time. And so I'm thankful for the Israel Family Band, as well as Mama Tamar, as well as Baba Wayne for putting this on, as well as Tony Gaston. Is it Gaston?
Who was that? Gray.
Tony Gray. I apologize.
Right.
Tony Gray for putting it on. Shout out to everybody who came through.
That's right.
We end up having buku girls.
That's right.
Like young girls and women. And, you know, I got to do something special for my little sisters and my sisters when I see them. And we all condensed in one space. And I got the mic in my hand for sure. So it was nice. Yeah, it was good.
And shout out to all the, you know, everyone bought toys and all of the folks who helped organize the young people to get them there, you know. So what will happen is on the 22nd, I want to say, and they'll make the announcement later about those people who attended, those youth that attended will be invited back to receive the toys for the toy giveaway. And it was very good and well done and well attended. And that's the idea was to expose the young people to jazz, because we're sitting right here in New Orleans with jazz, the birthplace of jazz. That's our music, and all music, as Mama Tomas said today, comes from jazz. And so many of our young people here are not as connected to jazz as they could be, to the point that other folk are coming in from outside of our community, and they're studying, and they're making good livings here, playing jazz music, and all over the world. And so we want to make sure that we maintain our own art form here in the city of New Orleans. So it was a good look for the young people, Mama Fiyah, to come out and get that.
It was.
And you threw down.
I had a good time.
You threw down, man. We got some videos out there on Instagram of some shots, you know. You always rolling.
Well, you know, I do my best when it's time to perform. I am no perfectionist, though, Brother Shaq. I just turn my spirit on shine and let it flow.
Well, you did great.
Every time, every single time. And highs, lows, it don't matter. Pitch off, all these kind of things, it don't matter. You're supposed to have a great time and just let that light shine.
Well, it looked like y'all had fun to me.
I had a great time.
And shout out to our sister Kendra Joy, too, for hosting.
Yeah. She's a host everywhere. She's a grounder.
That's what I say. You're a whole host out here.
She hold it down. She, you know, and listen, it's okay. I love that queen.
Mm-hmm. And so we got a jam-packed show for you today. Shout out to everybody. We missed you for True Love Movement Tuesdays this week, but we'll be back next Tuesday.
Yes.
So usually I know y'all used to twice a week, but we back to old school this week. And so without any further ado, we're going to get into today's topic, Mama Fiyah, which I think is a brilliant one and, you know, overdue that we talk about this.
Quick, fast, in a hurry.
And quick, fast, we're going to hit it real quick and roll out because we know the front porch is coming up next, followed by DC Paul and the gang. But before we get to them, we're going to get to this, Mama Fiyah. Today's topic. Shout out to Dynamite DJ Dave Soul, also celebrating a born day.
Yes, he is my birthday, born day connection brother.
Right on.
I love that brother.
Sagittarius season, I think, is in full effect, they're saying.
Yes, it is. So, you know, I love the Sagittarius.
That's right, man. That's right.
You know, it's always Leo season, though.
Yeah, that's true. You know. Well, with that said, though, today's topic is do no harm. Even though it's Leo season all the time, we're going to do no harm, but
do no harm.
You know what I'm saying, Mama Fiyah? What's happening with that topic? I know we talk about, you know, harm and hurt and pain and all those kinds of things on a pretty consistent basis, just off air. But, you know, today, what inspired us to want to bring this particular thing to the people?
Well, I had an exchange with a sister that I work with, and we were doing, I was asking some very specific questions surrounding mental health. And, you know, one of the questions is, you know, have you ever, you know, feeling out of control and either harmed yourself or anyone else? And, you know, we talked about every question at length. And she said yes. She answered yes to the question and proceeded to tell me how she hurt someone.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think there's a difference between hurt and harm.
Break that down.
Right? There's a difference between hurt and harm. And I think hurt is, especially when we're talking about mental health, you can definitely hurt someone. But you can also mistakenly hurt someone.
Right.
There's a way to mistakenly hurt someone. There's no way to mistakenly harm. Right? Okay. Like harm is deliberate. Harm is intentional. Harm has a lot to do with physical damage to a person, whereas hurt, you can hurt someone's feelings. You can hurt someone's mind and heart. You can hurt someone without seeing the hurt. Whereas harm is intentional, right? And so we had to have that long conversation about the difference between hurt and harm, and that changed her answer, right? So I don't think our people understand the difference between hurt and harm. We're going to take it from the micro to the macro. That I don't think we understand that. And then, what does that mean for people who have been harmed?
Yeah.
What does do no harm mean for people who have been harmed? Right? So yes, we have physically, mentally, and it's intentional. Remember, I say harm is intentional. Hurt may be intentional, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. It could occur without trying to, right?
Right.
Definitely.
And I think it's a general, like a human code or a human law, you know, and it's not really a natural law because you can do harm all day. You know,
true, ain't nothing stopping that.
But I think it's human, and we get caught up between morals and a moral compass and all these different things. But I think in general, it's the golden rule: right. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. Right? So do no harm means I don't want harm done to me.
Right.
So I will do no harm. Just I don't know. I feel to me it's a natural law. You know, I feel like it's a natural law, especially now that I'm well. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because there was one time in my life that I was sick, you know, very, very sick. And I tell my whole story and run away, girl. You could see all the hurt, harm, and danger. I was just wielding around, and I was a dangerous person. Mm-hmm. And so now that I'm well, do no harm just makes so much sense. And I mean, it goes deep for me, like doing no harm. I don't even want to do harm to a spider. Right. You know, I don't want to do harm to a lizard. I don't want to do harm to a cat. But then again, I will do harm to someone who attempts to harm me.
Right. That's the
please. I'm not a killer, but don't push me.
That's the do no harm, but because that's how it's titled on the Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
Harm, but
what you say about that, brother?
Well, I think that you know, the deliberate doing of harm is a there's a long history of us experiencing that as people of color, black folks in particular here in America, and since we've experienced so much of that. You know, we really do want to do some harm, Mama Fiyah. I mean, when you look at it, we always ready to do harm, but the thing is, we're usually close in the proximity of people who have been harmed just like we have. Mm-hmm. And so that's right. So those are the people that we end up inflicting the harm onto. We don't usually go too far outside of ourselves when it comes to inflicting harm, though we've endured, centuries of harm and the like. But the part about doing no harm, but I saw this on a meme many years ago. It said, "Do no harm, but take no stuff." It didn't say stuff, but I understood that in terms of self-defense, and because a lot of the times too, this idea of being a pacifist, we're not talking about that. For those who are,
True Love Movement ain't about pacifying.
No, and the idea of being a pacifist is just an ideology about not really engaging in violence or not, even if violence is done, to not respond with violence and all of those kinds of things. We're certainly not advocating that because self-preservation is the truest form of self-love. You know what I'm saying? You're not loving yourself if you're allowing harm to be done to yourself. But the idea about us doing one another harm, it does come from us oftentimes being in a very, very hurt place, because when you talked about being well, now that you are well, but before you were well, you was wreaking all kind of havoc because hurt people really do hurt people. You know what I'm saying? And then you also don't mind seeing somebody else hurt or messed over. You know what I'm saying? If you already in that loop or cycle of being harmed. So that's how come it's very I say it's very important for us to be responsible about how it is that we deal with one another, because there are people that we don't even know who are going to be impacted by the way we engage with some of our people. You know what I'm saying? Like we were speaking earlier about someone who had been hurt so many times, and I know from just experience, particularly looking at it, when somebody's hurt a whole lot and it makes them not very, loving or kind or caring or whatever, well, then they get penalized for being a person who's not very loving, caring, or kind, and so they've been soured because of what life has done to them or their experience in life, and then the way they respond to that, it turns people off, and so they still don't get the connections that they would like to have, and it's just such a horrible thing, just that if we treated our people really well, it would inspire them to treat others of our people well. But in order for us to do that, we've got to be well enough to say, yes, I've been hurt. We got a real bad deal here in America, but I can get well, and then I can extend justice to my own people.
Yes, just us, Brother Shay.
It's just us.
Just us. And I want to shout out to my dad, Rising Power, ancestor, angel, and his prayer. He was a very religious man. He was a very spiritual man as well, and he always said the same prayer most of the time, and said other things because he was an evangelical as well. Right. But he would say to put a hedge of protection around his children from hurt, harm, or danger. That was his thing, And to me, that made me realize there's a difference between hurt and harm. There's a difference there. And so the person that you were talking about that has been hurt and hurt and hurt, thing about hurt is without any intervention or without any help with that, it can turn into harm.
Right.
You can actually harm someone when you're bitter, when your bitterness builds up in you. And that's why it's important for our people in particular to get the intervention that we need for anger, I remember, I say this all the time, I remember when I was, doing those assessments all around the city. I mean, I was all the way in West Wego. I was all the way in New Orleans East, almost to Slidell, right? So I went the whole New Orleans, and everybody that I had to, quote unquote, diagnose had depression and anger. Anger issues, and depression that just sits in you. Well, anger that just sits in you is depression, right? But rage, these people, they were some of them were already diagnosed before I got to them,
right?
Because you have to reassess every so often, and they were labeled or diagnosed with bipolar, right? Because they had these big outbursts of rage. People were like, oh, well, you got big outbursts of rage and check off bipolar. But the thing about it is who ain't angry?
Particularly, black folks, for real.
As far as black people, it's like, it's okay for you to be angry. Right. I think the issue is, where do we put it?
Right.
Where do we put our anger? Do we put it on inside, and wreak havoc on your own self? Or do you put it outside of you and wreak havoc in your household, in your community? Or do we, box it out, run it out? Do we paint it out? Right. Do we, write rhymes it out? Do we freestyle it out? What do we do? Think about when you are angry. Do we breathe it out? That needs to be the first line of defense. Because you cannot think when you're angry.
Sure.
You end up doing harm when you are angry and don't even realize it. When you turn around, that's why they don't label you bipolar, because when you turn around, you're like, oh, I did that. Oh, no, I blacked out. I my bad, I didn't really mean to do that, And they got a trap for you.
Yep.
They got a trap for you. They set you up, and they got a trap, jail, incarceration, and these type of things. So it's important that we do not harm out of our anger, and that we really express it through ways of self-care, through ways of working out, exercise, art, through expression, And first things first is identifying when you are harming the people. Identifying when you're angry, identifying when you're off balance. Man, if we can identify that, and first you have to identify balance.
Right.
To know when you're off balance, Brother Shay.
Well, we just did that series of 3 on the inferiority motives, Mama Fiyah, and I know anger is a serious hallmark or manifestation of internalized racial inferiority, and it's very, very natural. I just want our people to understand that it's very natural, logical, and human for you to be angry, all the time. If you have any idea what has happened to the collective of black folks in America, you have got to be angry about that. If you're not angry about that, you have no touch or whatsoever connection with the little humanity you had left. So that is completely understandable and reasonable, because we're in a situation that we should be angry about. Now, like you just said, what we do with the anger, we also shouldn't be shamed or feel guilty because we feel the anger. You know, I think, Mama Fiyah, that's one of the turnoffs with folk, is that they they hear a message like "do no harm," and to them that means somebody's telling them just go ahead and get messed over, and you're not supposed to be upset about it, or just let people walk all over you. Because, you know, we've talked to folk, you know, obviously in person and for, you know, workshops and seminars and lectures and those kinds of things about anger specifically before, and that's what people hear. We're not saying that you shouldn't be angry. You should definitely be angry. But the thing is that you actually have, you know, what you do with that anger, and I'm not just talking about it simply breathing it out or running it out, because that's necessary. But to think about, be responsible with it, because the person who we're trying to, as folk be talking about, you say blackout, you know, now they say flash out. People we trying to flash out on, they angry too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they done bit their tongue a few times, and they done took something that they didn't really want to take, and you know, we all are kind of like time bombs, and so because of what has happened to us collectively.
Yes.
So to recognize that, man, the person who's closest to you, I mean physically close proximity, you know, I know you and I, you know, we don't get angry at each other, but we could, because we both got, you know, we got anger. You know what I mean? Like, we are black people in America. And so we are just as angry as anybody else. We might even be more angrier, because I think we have a very keen sense about what has happened to us. You know what I'm saying? But so the idea is to be disciplined enough to remember that those around you have had similar experiences, and there ain't going to be no relief coming from the outside. So the only relief and the justice that you always talk about, you've been saying that for years, Mama Fiyah. I hope our listeners and our viewers understand the just us that you're talking about.
Yes.
We have a really phenomenal opportunity to lift some of this oppression by saying, wait a minute, this is my brother, this is my sister.
Yes.
You know, let me be cool. Like, you know, let me just be cool. But I do want to put this, I think it's important that we drop this in here too. This is what happens, Mama Fiyah. All of the anger and rage and hostility that should go outside of our community, we don't have the courage for that. We can't muster up the heart to do that. So we hold it. We hold on to it until our brother or our sister scuffs our tennis shoe, steps on our toe, says one more thing, and then we unleash all of that should have went outside. We unleash all of that on them that's been building up for years. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know what?
That kind of anger. Because we haven't investigated the anger. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you. And yeah, on one level, that, yes, you're right. But the courage though, Brother Shaq, listen, all the odds are stacked against us. If you were to go into a white space or the enemy space, right? And it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to go white or black with this if you don't want to, because they're enemies with black skin, and I realize that. But I'm just saying, if you go into a space that you know, is harmful, right? And you actually say, I'm taking this anger out on you. There are so many, I mean, you're dead. You're dead. And they make that so. They make it, every example, every single time. You don't even have to walk into a place that you know, and say, you know, y'all did this to us for 400 years and da-da-da, to get murdered. You know, so I don't know if it's courage that we're lacking. I really don't know if it's courage that we're lacking. I think it's the fact that it's been reinstated over and over and over and over in every situation that, you know, they are ridiculous about. I don't know. You hear what I'm saying?
I do hear you, but the courage I'm talking about isn't the courage to do harm to those outside of our community. The courage I'm talking about is for us to confront the real source of our anger. See, I'm talking about the courage in that moment. So you're not saying to... I'm saying the courage in that moment of anger and that rage that we have that we want to exact on our people, the courage to confront and say, now, wait a minute.
Okay, gotcha.
You know, why do I want to kill this brother or this sister? Because I've had to do that. I've had the person to do it. There was somebody that cut me off that actually ran a stop sign the other day and cut me off, and I had to slam on brakes not to hit them. And I was so furious about it, right? And so I sat there and I looked, and this fool had the nerve to slow down and then turn and look at me. So I realized right then I had a decision to make, because what's going to happen next? But I had to think about, why was I ready to kill this brother who I did not know? And he was probably on the phone or doing something that, you shouldn't be doing while you were driving.
Definitely.
And had I hit him, I wasn't in the wrong, and he would have actually been hurt because I'd have ran clean into like him physically. So I understood all of that, but I was so furious that he almost put me in that position that I wanted to do him something. And I'm not going to talk to him and wag my finger. And this is from someone who loves black people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that, but I had to stop in that moment and say,
And that's the thing.
What is the courage for me to say, man, let me just keep going. Because the only thing that's going to happen is either I'm going to kill him or he's going to kill me. And then when it's all over with, nobody will even know what happened. It'll look completely senseless. And he didn't really do anything to me. I just happened to be the person who was rolling at that moment. And so because we are sensitive and to not take these things very personally, that's what I'm saying. We've been played and we feel so played, particularly, in New Orleans, we feel played. So we got this, I wish somebody would.
Yes, we do.
But whoever, when we do, what I am saying, when we do unleash it, though, it ain't never outside of our community. And I know what you're saying.
I hear you.
They've got it all set up. But let's think about that and say, well, now, wait a minute.
Why does that go down? Because,
Wait a minute.
And I love your example, Brother Shay, because that's real.
Yeah.
And people got these views of me and you like we ain't human beings. We completely human. Like, we do have anger. Like, and what I loved about what you said in the example is that you stopped.
Yeah.
You stopped. You have to put something in between your emotions, right?
Yeah.
Like that moment when you're just like, and then going straight to being emotional with it.
Right.
You have to stop. And the only difference I would add is that breathe. Stop and breathe, because the anger does have to go somewhere.
Right.
If not, it's going into your body.
Right.
And it could possibly turn into depression, but it also could turn into cancer.
Yeah.
Or could turn into aches and pains, or could turn into something physical. So what you want to do is release that anger in the moment. I am the breathingest person, I'm telling you, because I got a lot of angst too.
Right.
Because I brought babies into this world, man. It's crazy. This world crazy, you know, and whatever, I have to really breathe, because if not, tumors and cysts and fibroids and depression, I can't have none of that. I have to let it out. I have to intentionally breathe and say, I'm releasing this anger right now because it does not belong in my body.
Right.
It does not belong in my mind. It doesn't, I don't want to be unbalanced.
That's
right.
I
love that you stop and then breathe. But stopping and breathing also helps our brain make the right decision.
Right.
It helps. It's physiological. It helps our brain get enough oxygen so you can think, what's the right decision in this thing?
Right.
And I think if we all knew how to identify hurt and harm, right? Like if somebody's trying to harm me, oh no, like they're going to get harmed, because that's just self-preservation. Like you said, Brother Shaq, a beautiful quote. Self-preservation is the truest form of self-love, right?
That's right.
So, but I have to identify if somebody is hurting me because they're a hurt person. Definitely. We're all walking around hurt people, and look, people throw daggers all the time. But most of the time, I'm able to say, out of love for my people, Dan, that's a real hurt person.
Right.
That's a hurt person. Even if their hurt is trying to direct toward me, they don't know me. Like, you don't know what's. If they knew who they were trying to get at, they wouldn't. If they knew all the work that we do up there at our office, if they knew how much love that we pour on our people just because they're our people, they wouldn't try. So I'm able to identify the hurt, right? And then harm is different, right? And it's that you actually intentionally trying to hurt me physically or take me off of this earth or whatever the case may be, and you definitely gonna have to come, up.
Well, you gotta defend. Like I said, we want our people to defend themselves and defend themselves really, really well. I mean, we always, if we have to engage, you know, we want to be lethal.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We definitely want to be lethal, but we want to be on the defensive end of these things because, again, our people, what has happened to us really has made us act a lot of the ways that we're acting. And so we're not even really acquainted with who we are naturally anymore, you know. And shout out to our sister Sonia Maria, and we got Shantice and everybody else joining us in the Facebook Live. Simply like the True Love Movement page, and you can see us here live in the studio. Mama Fiyah, that comment right there, could you go back to that one?
Yes, so Shantice says, focusing on socio-emotional is extremely important at every stage within our development. We have children labeled as bad without intentional resources for outlets that won't allow them liberation for creativity, same as adults.
That's right. That's right.
That is so right. I mean, I think developmental stages, if we understood developmental stages for one, and if we also understood the importance of socio-emotional development from an infant in the womb, from an infant to be able to say, release it. It's okay to release. To talk about releasing. That's one thing people don't even really understand, that verbiage or the language about releasing and what does that feel like. People don't even get a chance to realize that their emotions also sit in their bodies and where they sit, right? Where does anger hurt your body? And so you're able to identify what's happening and release it. You got to identify it first to release it.
Now, but I want to add, I just like to add to that. Identify it without judging it, because that's where the frustration and all that kind of takes it up a notch, is because there I go getting angry. You get angry about getting angry again. You know what I'm saying? There I go with, you know, I'm trying to be cool. I'm just, you know, I heard so many brothers tell me, hey man, listen, I'm trying to be cool. You know, I'm walking away. I'm not, you know. And then they kept on and they kept on. And then I start feeling like I'm a punk. You know, I don't want to feel like that. And then I feel played. And then I'm trying to walk away. And they just keep on and keep on. And then I'm locked up. So like, so oftentimes too, you know, just like in cases of abuse, Mama Fiyah, when we talk about like intimate partner abuse and other things, particularly that kind of harm, you know, oftentimes the people will say, look what you made me do.
Bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like we really do think that once we flash out and do whatever we do to somebody, that they made us do that. And listen, I don't think that we really think that. I think that we realize we can't unring the bell and we feel very bad about what we've done. But rather than say, I didn't manage my emotions in a way that kept us both safe, I'm going to say that you made me do this, and now I'm going to be angry about that. Plus, depending on somebody's circumstances, you know, once you go a little bit far and you put your toe in there, you just might as well go all out, depending on their existing situation. So then there's that in there. And so we do have to be able to recognize and identify the anger and the hostility, where it comes from, but do it analytically, not judgmentally.
That's right.
But do it analytically, just so that we can understand what's really going on and save not only our own lives, but the lives of other people, and also the quality of lives. Because listen, once you cool off, you know, how many people we know of, or whether we know of them personally or not, but just imagine how many people who, you know, they don't do this, and then they really hurt somebody or kill somebody or do all kind of things. You know, after they do that, they do have a cooling off period.
Yes.
You know, they don't maintain that same level of rage, but by that time, they've got a whole new set of circumstances to deal with. And I can assure you that they think back, man, if I would have just not done that, if I would have just left, if I would have just left it alone. I mean, and you can think about that all you want. There's a whole nother thing that's happening. And I mean, think about how many people that go to 0 to 100 like that, and then they can't undo it, and then they really feel bad, and then they're sorry, and they're crying, and they mom and them crying, and everybody upset.
Then they're institutionalized.
Then you're institutionalized, where you'll be having a whole lot of more of that kind of stuff happening. And we see it all the time.
See it too much. And Brother Shay, a couple of things. You say you when people say you made me do this, that is a huge red flag. Yeah. That they are completely dissociated from themselves. For one, no one can make you are not a computer. You have no buttons. Right. No one can make you act wild out, right? Yeah, you were doing it yourself. Buttons, right. And it's important to take the extra step. We talked about stopping and then identifying the emotion, I am angry. Then remember, this is a hurt person. And I think we want to do something, right? What if we said something like, you're a hurt person? If we needed to do something, like if you were actually in a space where that person is hurting you, you can say, you are a hurt person, and walk away. Right. You know what I'm saying? You are a hurt person, just as a reminder, right? Anybody like, yeah, I'm not hurt, you hurt, Right, you just let them do their thing, but at least you got out the truth that you need to remember, and then release it. Right. Release it through breath, release it through whatever. But I mean, I think that's a good protocol for us to have with our people in particular.
I wanted to add this too, why as you pulling that particular comment up. So you mentioned earlier about, and just moments ago, about, the language and struggling with saying, hey, listen, I'm upset, I'm angry.
Yes, I am is good. I am statement.
The I am statements are important, particularly even if you just say them to yourself. But I don't want I don't want folks to put too much pressure on themselves because, listen, this is English. This isn't our language. This is a young language. It's a language of angles. Angles is the Baba Emil Labat has taught us for many, many years. But what I'm saying in looking at that for many years also is that English is just simply not sufficient. It isn't sophisticated enough to really be able to express all of the thoughts and feelings and emotions that black people, or those of us who have come to be called black, can experience. It's just not a sufficient language.
No, we don't have it.
That is the reason why it does get physical, because we want you to feel what we're saying. We don't just want you to hear us audibly. We want you to feel, and what we're saying, we want you to feel on a very human connection level, because what we're saying in that moment, that if you felt what I felt, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that if you could feel what I was feeling. And we're trying to get our people to feel us. And sometimes that means them physically feeling us. And then they want us to feel them too. So we get into some touchy-feely stuff that end up getting us all in trouble. But usually that particular physical altercation is the result of maybe 10 of them that we passed up, that we've been like, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to leave it alone. So I'm going to, give our people a shout out for, the restraint that we typically do use. We're not saying that everybody's out wilding out. Many people have a whole lot of restraint. But I'm telling anybody listening, whether you are black, white, or otherwise, do not try black people. Do not. Black, white, or otherwise, do not go try black people. I don't care what they're wearing. I don't care how many. I don't care if they got on shea butter. I don't care if they got locks or fro. No, because you know how some people don't understand. They think that
you a hotep and you ain't going to hotep them.
They think you do yoga and all this other stuff. Do not try black people, because you setting yourself up for something. That's for all people to pay attention to that, because black people
they think you sweet, and they think you so nice, and they think you're real short and sassy. Well, guess what? Don't try.
You located something some time ago, and I know we're gonna get to that comment, but it never left me, because I thought, I'm not sure who wrote it, but I know you located it. And it said, you have no idea how much violence it took for me to get this gentle.
Yes.
Or for me to be this gentle. I think that's something that everybody black could put that on a t-shirt, that you have no idea how much violence it took for me to be this gentle. So never underestimate somebody who's kind and sweet. They probably, if they're black, they have been through so much.
Yes, they have.
That they have arrived at that point. But nothing like the past. The past is just right there. You know, you could reach back.
Come on.
You could reach back.
I would like someone to call into the show, and definitely we like some first-time callers. So we will call the Solution Hotline at WBOK, 12:30 a.m., 504-260-9265. Then again, that number again, 504-260-9265. My beautiful sister, Sonia Maria, who is also on the Facebook Live, says, yes, and how hurt gets carried in the womb during the birthing canal. A lot of people inherited family hurts and generational curses, not knowing where it stems from. Yeah, we can just look at that. Just look at your family history. And once we start looking at our family history and we start feeling inspired, we realize that we are the ones to break the curse.
We're the ones.
We are the ones. If you are inspired by changing something that has been happening over and over and over in your generation as far back as you can remember or recall or even get help with through your elders, you have been blessed.
Right.
Come on, let me say it right. You have been blessed to break the curse, to break the cycle, to break it. You are the one. And so, Brother Shaq, you said about our people feeling deeply, right? Yeah. And I want to say this. If you don't realize how deep our people are, Black people not only feel much deeply than others, because our skin is deep, our relationship to music is deep, our rhythm is deep, our love is deep. We are the deepest. Please know we are the deepest. We are the depth of, we are the descendants of the depth. Okay. Right. So when we feel very deeply. And so people who have created these words that we use, English and Anglo language and all this other stuff, they don't feel as deep as we do.
Not at all.
So there are so many deeper feelings. That's why it's important for us to sit around as people and go deep with one another. Definitely. Have community discussions that are deep. Right. That are not shallow. Because listen, you are not using all of your feelings, my brothers and sisters, when you stay shallow. There are many, many other feelings that can heal you once you identify who they are.
That's right.
I'm sorry, once you identify what they are. Right? Those feelings. And so we cannot be afraid to go deep.
That's it.
Go deeper.
And the idea of feelings, and wherever this pop culture thing came for Black folks, because I haven't ever heard any white folks talk about being in your feelings. I'm not saying they don't. I just don't have those kind
they know, you know, white people love Drake.
But I am saying that, you know, this is a very dangerous and insane sort of thing. We've said this for many years, you know, publicly and also privately. For Black people, whether we're talking about Black men or Black boys or Black women or Black girls, this suppression of your feelings, this idea that, oh, you're in your feelings, that you shouldn't be feeling. The only time you shouldn't be feeling is when you are deceased or if you are not human. And we really got good information that there are many things that are not human that also feel. So to be alive is to feel, and it's very, very natural. Denying your humanity, the little bit that you're clinging to or the part that you're trying to reclaim, is a recipe for disaster, because it is a lie. It is just a lie that you do feel. You know what I'm saying?
Feel.
And the sociopathic behavior of saying, oh, you're in your feelings as though something is wrong with you, that you shouldn't be that way, like somebody should do you any kind of harm or hurt and you should just be okay with it. That is a recipe for disaster, because it's a lie. We do feel, as you just described, we feel very, very deeply. We care about what people think, what they say, how they look at us, what they wrote about us, what they posted about us, whether they liked it or loved it.
Come on,
we care about all of that. Did they share it? I mean, we care about all
I
of
love
that.
everything. You know what I'm saying? I put that heart, boom, 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 boom.
But to the point where if you put a like, then it's, oh, it ain't good enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying that we're sensitive as people.
Yes, we are.
But that's not a judgment. It's just because we have been hurt so much.
Our sensitivity is deep.
And so, like, it's a wound. Like, we're wounded. So, like,
yes,
you know, if you've ever had a cut or a sore or something and you like,
keep messing with it,
and you keep on, it ain't healing, it's hurting. You know, every time it gets touched, it's that re-stimulation of trauma. So don't play that game about, oh, you're in your feelings, or don't go messing with somebody and then saying, oh, you in your feelings, like something wrong with them. You're inviting somebody to hurt you, straight up. And why would you even want to do that? Because you know people are already hurting. So this is a choice. These are things that we can do. This has been a fast hour too, Mama Fiyah. And I want to make sure we do have a call. We got one call. It's going to be a fast call because we're going to have to wrap up. But thank you for calling. What's happening?
Hey, what's happening?
All right, what's going on?
This topic, man, and I just want to say to all the people out there that have ever been hurt, I've been hurt. Man, I want to tell anybody out there, if you've ever been hurt by me, I'm 100% sure it's unintentional. This show has to be proof because I've been longing for some way to just show that we can unconditionally love each other. And one of the things about harm is we have to stop using love as some fake tool to lure people in just to harm them.
That's right. That's sick.
I know it's a short show, and I gotta say that because this show changed my life.
Right on.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. He's right, man. We do not want to lure anybody with love.
Because it ain't really love.
Love ain't no lure. That's what I'm saying. It ain't no lure. Just now, when you said something about feeling, feeling is like the sense of touch.
That's right.
It's like
sensitivity.
You can't. It's they say you hear, you see all these things and touch, but they don't really connect it with feelings, right? It's like there's something that you actually feel within your body, right? You cannot touch it, but you do feel it.
That's right.
Like when we are embarrassed, how that feels in your body,
physically,
right?
That's right.
Physically in your body. When we are sad, how that feels in our body. It's important to realize that we are, and I talk about it in Keep It High, Thoughts in a New Light, about experiencing things as if it's another sense and really paying attention to it and honoring it.
Right.
That instead of ignoring it, right?
Sure.
Honor it because we deny it. And it comes back with full force, and you're gonna and eventually you're gonna hurt or harm someone.
That's right.
If it's not looked at, identified, and even stated. I like that statement, Brother Shaq. I am, and putting the feeling word, or how about not I am? Because we got to be real careful with I am.
I feel.
I am is a magic word, right? I feel. I feel this way because it can change. Seasons change, feelings change, emotions change. You know what I'm saying? So, but I want to make sure that we can identify I feel and fill in the blank with that correct feeling.
And Mama Fiyah, for everyone listening or watching, what we're saying here is when someone makes that I feel statement is that you honor that. This is not about your agreement.
Yes, honoring that
honor
thing.
That,
yes,
because that's something that you can do. Because we're talking about how to work this thing out, how to not do harm. Like when someone says, I feel like, then you may be like, nah, that ain't what I'm doing, or that ain't what happened, or whatever the case is. But just don't. Just don't do that. Allow them to have whatever feelings they have, because if you're black and you're listening, you'll know that those feelings are really complicated. That you could be feeling something now that you didn't address 10 years ago, but now you just can't take it anymore. So somebody does something small that 10 years ago you wouldn't have said anything. Now you're being very vocal about it, and the person who may be doing it is saying, what's the big deal? Why are you tripping? I ain't really. And so just remember that many times it really ain't about you. Even though you may be on the other end of it, it really ain't about you. And so if you're listening and saying, well, man, Brother Shaq, that ain't fair. I agree it ain't fair. That's the incentive we should all have for being very careful about how we treat one another, because somebody else somewhere down the line is going to have to respond or be in a situation with somebody that maybe you hurt or maybe you messed over because you were being careless or you were being irresponsible or you were trying to take someone's humanity or further oppress them. So we do have the opportunity to flip that very deliberately. We can flip that in a responsible way. And now what we're talking about, family, is not light and fluffy and just
never light and fluffy.
We're saying this ain't no coward stuff is what we're talking about here.
That's right. This takes courage.
It takes courage, and it also takes you to have the sense of your own power and how it is that you impact the world. Because if you're clear about that, you'll know how to do that. If you don't know how you impact the world, then you're irresponsible and you're dangerous. Because you'll be out there doing anything. Figure, what's the big deal? And then you're someone who's causing problems. So very, very responsibly, if you love yourself, it's very, very easy to extend that to your brother and to your sister.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, so thank you, Brother Shaq, for that. And it's 5 minutes to. I want to make sure we got time for the music because the front porch is
the front porch is getting closer to the door.
Yes, they're coming soon. So I do want a couple of minutes to play Stevie Wonder, "Love's in Need of Love" today. It's one of my favorite songs, and we play it often on WVOK 12:30 a.m. I just need everybody to listen to it.
And as that's coming up, I want to thank everybody for joining us on the show. Stay on the lookout. Join us for True Love Movement Tuesday 9 p.m. Central. Subscribe to the True Love Movement YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook, Instagram. Late Bloomers coming up very soon.
It's coming. It's coming.
Shout out to our Facebook Live family and everybody who listens. And we would like you all to share the show that you can be proud of, that black folks can be proud of, but those that you respect. So I'm Brother Shaq
and Mama Fiyah
for the True Love Movement Hour.
Wholeness. This is one of my favorite songs, y'all. This is a song we should listen to on a regular basis. Because we throwing around love.
Yeah.
We throwing around that word. We throwing around self-love. And we don't really get it. It's important for us to get it and feel like you understand what it means. And it's hard for people who have been taught to hate themselves.
That's right.
To love themselves. It's not just like this. It's a journey.
And my grandmother, this was actually her favorite Stevie Wonder record. And this is the only Stevie Wonder record that she dug, because she was highly religious.
Oh,
you know, but
this is a like very spiritual song.
It is. That's why, you know, when she was listening to that, when she was like, well, I can get with that. So let's be authentic, though. We ain't talking about that superficial love either. We talking about that real deep ocean love.
Yes, yes. Everybody's asking me when Late Bloomers coming out. I'm excited to tell y'all it's coming out soon. I don't know the date, but let's say January 2019.
We like
New
that.
year. It's a new year, so get you a new album. Breaking many hearts.
Honoring, that's right. All right, family. Share the show. Stay tuned for the front porch. Later.